Let's start off with all the worries doing the rounds as far as China tech is concerned. And do you think that this is a pocket of interest purely from a valuation standpoint?
It is, I guess, in the longer term, but I think in the short term there's still quite a lot of pressure coming from the policy space and also from concern about U.S.-China relation. I think it's also going in the wrong direction. I think the investors are still pretty nervous about the overall, the market condition and going into next year, compounded with the macro outlook in China also not very uncertain. So at this stage, I think the sentiment is very weak.
Sentiment is very weak. Can it change come 2022? Or do you think geopolitics, U.S. sanctions, Five Eyes essentially eyeing, what's happened with the Hong Kong elections, all of that could weigh on just overall view and perception that people have, investors have about Chinese assets?
Yeah, so I think on the external side, right, so what you mentioned, geopolitical risk, U.S.-China relations, I don't really expect that many, positive news coming in the short term. And I think what could happen going into next year in the first quarter is some data points on China's economy, particularly from the property sector. So that's the main concern. Probably the number one concern on investors' mind is whether this property cycle, this down cycle, will stabilize. And for now, there's just more and more bad news coming about particular developers. So that kind of concern need to be addressed, and then the market might get a little bit better.
No, but the government stepping in for helping Evergrande, wouldn't that go a long way in allaying and assuaging some of those concerns? Because if you had the government backing, which either way many in the markets believe that would be the end game, then isn't that reason enough to say that this is the worst and that things will look up from here?
Well, I think from the policy perspective, the policy cycle has turned more supportive. That's for sure. That's has already become a consensus. And now the issue is whether the policies will be effective enough to stabilize the economy. I think I think the market understand the Evergrande issue, how it will be resolved down the road. It probably will be restructured and will probably take years. And the concern is that other developers, whether this will spread out